for the long-winded question. I apologize.
Yeah, 100% can. There's a couple of things that connected. One of the things that I'm hearing is learning ends. We turn a magic age of 18 or 12, we graduate with our grade 12 diploma and learning ends.
Yeah.
I go back to my roots. I'm Sikh, and Sikhism, the word Sikh means lifetime learner. Sikh means learning. And so we're lifetime learners. So there's no timeline on your child's learning. So as they go through the system and that made up curriculum that everybody has to chew down and swallow and spit out, there's a base knowledge that they're gathering in that. There's experiences and opportunities that they're hurdles that they're crossing through that journey. And as a parent, I mean, there's no, the timeline will continue. And so your 40-year-old child, when, I don't know what your age difference is, but maybe you're 70 and they're 40, they're still learning at 40. You're still learning at 40. And so I think the question more comes down to, when do we streamline? When do we expose them to a broad education? And then when do we streamline? Right now, it's grade 12. Get your grade 12 diploma. Do you want to change that as a father and have them go through school faster so they chew down that other curriculum and you can streamline them earlier? Do you take away certain opportunities because you can see what's best for them? Or we just the whole life journey is about learning, and they'll learn and they'll get opportunities at different choice points and crossroads in their life. And you're already having the conversations with your child by just the thinking that you're doing. So let them learn and be open to whatever comes their way. There is some research, it's just coming to me now. It's really powerful. And I wish I reference this a lot and I don't even remember where I picked it up from. But it has to do with when you are interested in something, when there is an interest, when your child has an interest, flood them with that opportunity. So if your kid all of a sudden wants to sew something and thread a needle, get them a sewing machine, get them all the threads, get them the apps they need to create, flood them with it. If they pick up a basketball and they want to learn, and all of a sudden there's a little interest, flood them with the opportunity, get them a coach, put them on a team, take them out to the basketball court, flood interest, flood your own interest. And that is also a big part of learning. So abundance, I can do whatever, and when there is interest, abundance. Face it with them.
Love that. What you shared about abundance and flood them with opportunities. I think that's going to be probably the title of the show. Love it.
Hi, I'm Vijayan Swaminathan. I'm the founder and CEO of Zadwell. At Zadwell, we help our clients transform into the digital space. We help from the web technologies to blockchain to Internet of Things and a wide range of services. Over the years, I can see the impact of technology that can have on business of all sizes. But I've also seen a gap in the market, a lack of quality support and outstanding technology solutions that truly meet the needs of the client. And that's where we come in. And ever since 2018, we started Zadwell. We've been helping more clients to digitally transform their business. We want to provide that personalized and dedicated support and care for our clients. And through this process, we want to see our clients thrive through the digital transformation process. At Zadwell, we have worked with a wide range of clients, from small businesses to startups to large enterprises and public sector companies. We have the experience and expertise to help you with your goals and an ever-changing technology landscape. So if you're looking for a technology partner who truly cares about your success, here we are. It's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm so excited to see where we'll go next. Let's get to work.
Hey everyone, welcome to Pathfinders. Today we have a brand new show and like a brand new guest, Preet Dhaliwal. Preet, welcome to the show. Please allow me to introduce you properly. Today we are joined by Preet Dhaliwal, a visionary leader in sustainability and education. As a founder of Transform EDU, Preet has dedicated her career to building programs that inspire students, transform communities, and align organizations with a sustainable future. Her work has led to remarkable outcomes from coaching with the youth who became global contest winners at Earth Prize, COP26 Science Olympics, and the Conrad Youth Entrepreneur Challenge, to leading large-scale initiatives like the Sustainability Symposium and Service and Sustainability Week, engaging thousands of people and raising over $100,000 to support at-risk children's education. Preet brings a truly global perspective with 4 years of international teaching and leadership experience in Qatar and Vietnam. Now, back in Canada, she has taken on a new role as a teacher in Edmonton Public Schools, where she's focused on weaving sustainability into the local education system while continuing to impact communities worldwide. Her mission is clear: to shift mindsets, foster collaboration, and drive transformative change so that people, planet, and profit can flourish together. Love that piece. It's my pleasure to welcome Preet Dhaliwal, an educator, entrepreneur, and a change maker shaping the future of sustainability. Preet, welcome to Pathfinders.
Vijay, thank you for having me on here. Very excited to see where this conversation goes.
Absolutely. Preet, why don't you talk about your journey in your own words, please? Like, where did it all start? Like, how was your journey, if you were to summarize Preet in your own words?
This is what other people tell me. I'm really bad at summarizing myself, but when they see me, they think of freedom. First of all, I'm a freedom flyer. They do think of pioneer, breaking boundaries. People say that I'm quite confident. I don't know if I am internally as confident as maybe I exude, but that's what people say. And on top of all of that, I'm a visionary. So sometimes I'm connecting dots before people are even seeing them. And then the truest of friends, for sure. That's how I'm known, I think.
How was young Preet? Where did it all start? Like, before you got into the journey of education, entrepreneurship, or like teaching as a profession, where did it all begin? Did you always have a passion for teaching younger children, or where did it all begin?
The passion for teaching is interesting because I remember sitting in elementary school and getting assignments and then saving them and being like, oh, I want to use this when I grow up. So I'd be like in a fourth grade class and really like an assignment. And then I don't know where all those saved assignments went, but I do remember that brain process of being like, oh, maybe I want to do this one day. So I think it was always there. Growing up, I was an athlete. I was really lucky to have a brother who was 5.5 years older, and he liked to play hockey. So he decided he wanted to work on his slap shot. So when I was 2 years old, he would put the net on the edge of the driveway, like where the garage door is, and he would stand on the sidewalk. And he was practicing his slap shot. And that's how I grew up. I grew up playing street hockey with my brother, walking in the house with big bruises because we're just kids without street hockey pads. I was honestly 2-3 years old. Anyway, he had a great slap shot and he made me a great goalie. And that went on to just playing with my uncles, lots of street hockey, lots of fun. They were all 10, 15 years older than me and they took care of me. And I remember being 6, 7, 8, 11 years old, playing lots of street hockey. Also played a lot of sport. I played soccer. I was a provincial goalkeeper for soccer. Our team went on to win nationals a couple times. From there, I hung up the cleats because my knees were not so good, and I started coaching soccer, and I ended up coaching a team that went to nationals twice. So that was the beginning of being part of a team, maybe that confidence that people see in me now. I think my brother knocked it into me when I was 2 years old on the driveway.
So, street hockey. So I'm sure you're an Oilers fan as well.
Yes. Big time Oilers fan, waiting for McDavid to sign. Absolutely.
Got it. How do you connect sustainability and education? Because I know you play a big part in that, as well as I'm learning what do you do as I was researching for the conversation today. How did you connect both those stuff?
I was offered a position called a sustainability instructional coach. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't even sure what sustainability meant. So I had to go on that journey. I'm like, okay, this is what they want me to do. Because like I said, I'm a little bit of a visionary and I will say yes to anything and then start connecting dots and be like, what do I need to do? And the first training I did was with Compass Education. And they've created a tool that uses the compass, north, east, southwest, and they assign nature to north, well-being to west, social to south, so that's your government and things like that, and economics to east. So they rework the compass. And once you play with this tool, you realize that everything is interconnected. So if you look at, I'll just grab something that I have at my fingertips, and we look at this charger and we think about it from a natural perspective, we might be thinking of the natural resources that went into producing this. So all the plastics and so on. When you look at something like this, then from a government perspective, are we taxing these? Are we importing these? Do they come with a carbon footprint? Are we manufacturing them locally? Are they designed to have different inputs so we have to rebuy? And are we pushing that consumer cycle even more? Do these have to be on their phones or AI, for instance? Do they need to be regulated? So that social, institutional perspective. If you look at the economics of something like this, it goes back to like, are they designed to break so we have to buy more? Are they producing them with different inputs so we have to buy more? What are the economic impacts? What is our reach now with these and cell phones and so on? And then well-being, the psychological effects. So I picked up one thing that was at my fingertips and I was able to relate it to all 4 points of the compass. Taking a tool like that and putting it in front of teachers, and they take their curriculum and the things that come up in their classroom as a grade 3 teacher, as a preschool teacher, as a diploma teacher. Doesn't matter. You can put anything in front of that tool and put that lens on top of it, and we realize how interconnected we are. So sustainability in education is still spinning wheels in terms of its visionaries that are trying to push that conversation and connect dots. Conversations are happening in silos in that pre-kindergarten room, depending on how the mental model that teacher brings to the space. But it's not quite happening in an interconnected, transdisciplinary, multifaceted, multi-age conversation yet. And that was my visionary work. That's the latest work that I've been doing. That's the work that needs to be done.
Got it. Okay, that's great. I mean, you don't get to see sustainability and teaching as a profession. I mean, that's an interesting background you bring in terms of like, so how do you see today's students approaching sustainability, or how do you see the future citizens, future students playing a role in creating a sustainable planet? If that is a fair question.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask you to rephrase that because there was an
No, that's fine. So, where do you say? Okay, let me rephrase that question. The question is like basically, where do you see the current the student population in general in playing a role in creating a better planet? And
Absolutely.
Where are we, and where do you want the student community to go forward in helping create a better planet, if you will? Yeah.
So the role that I had in Vietnam, I was the director of service and sustainability. And one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle was the student service projects. So service in the International Baccalaureate, the IB program, is part of their core. Like they have to complete a service project. And it actually goes through all their grade 10, 11, 12 years. So I was part of helping them to design their personal projects, their service projects. This stands outside of their classwork. So it was mandatory for their diploma, and that's where it's able to pick up speed and generate momentum is when it's mandatory. When it's just for fun or an add-on, we spin wheels. So that's a big piece of the puzzle, is the motivating for students to begin exploring projects with the sustainability lens. So I didn't go into that position telling kids what to do. I was only providing them a lens, just like I provided that compass lens to a charger. I was providing that lens to whatever they brought to the table and helping them complete their service projects, which consists of multiple reflections, consists of a research at a research level 1 and level 2 level. And then I was also helping them align their extended essays, which is also part of the IB core mandatory work that they do. It's called an extended essay. And the extended essay matches year 1 university research projects. So they're doing this in high school. So their high school journey, when they align their service project with their extended essay through a sustainability lens, the output was phenomenal. The output was shifting mental models. And I didn't even have to shove it down their throats. I was just getting those moments, those eye-opening, eyebrow raising. We have this, we can look at it this way. So it's a regenerative thinking, sustainable thinking. Sometimes I would explain to the kids, think about it as you're on a space pod, Elon Musk's space pod that he wants to make. And if we needed to move 1 million people onto these space pods because we couldn't inhabit Earth, right, whatever was on that pod had to stay on that pod. You couldn't create more waste. You couldn't get rid of waste. We had to figure out how to complete that circular economy of all goods and services and needs all had to be circular. And that also helped. The Compass sustainability tool and getting them to think about space pods and nothing can come in and nothing can leave. We have to regenerate what we use. They tended to the kids could relate to it.
Got it. I was not planning to, since you brought Elon Musk, just a curious question. Why is he either loved or hated the most? Because he seems to be doing a lot of EV stuff, environment-friendly stuff as well, the Teslas and whatnot. Well, why do you see either the extreme hate or the extreme love? Like, any comments? You can feel free to pass this question, but since you brought it up, I thought I would ask.
I think at the end of the day, it's control. And so people love him when they either don't care that he has so much control or they're not paying attention to the control factor. And the ones that hate him fear somebody having that much control. And so when we look at EV or AI, I just watched a movie, I can't remember the name of it, but he's calling all his cars home. So all the Teslas from around the world are converging into one spot. And so the chaos that created, and does he have that power at his fingertip? Something that we have to think about.
Right. Okay. No, interesting, because it's, I'm trying to build my business as well. Entrepreneurship is hard. And I love the section that said, like, let's build a transformative change where people, planet, and profit can flourish together. I would want that. I would want the planet, people, and profit to flourish together. But it cannot be just about profit, or it cannot be just about planet, or it cannot be just about people alone. If they can coexist together, because we need to make profit to make a living, and it goes right. So it's what it is, and we cannot create a business that's a loss-making business also. So I'm trying to understand that, and it's very difficult to comprehend in terms of, like, hey, are you hurting the planet or are you making good for the planet? Right? It's a very simple question. So I would admit, I think many of the corporations, or my understanding is, like, I think they are not putting the cost of damage that they're creating to the nature, if you will. That's my understanding, right? If you're creating 1 million bottles of soda and you're just dropping it in water or in the, like, landfill, it's going to hurt us back at some point, right? You may not get a better fish from this ocean and things like that. Definitely it hurts. I don't know how to, where do you think all this problem started, Preet, in terms of, like, why were we not cautious enough? Innovation is great, but, like, why do you think we were not? Like, this doesn't seems like common sense to me.
Yeah. A movie I show the kids, a short film, it's called The Man. Again, I'm forgetting the author. Maybe you can put it in the right later, the director of that. And I also teach them the Lorax. We go through the Lorax has the need that we need to have a mitten, and then we need to have yarn, and then everybody needs to have a mitten because we need our fingers warm, and it goes from where's that yarn coming and the tree, and then the next need and the next need, and consumers, and then these needs get us money because we can make all these mittens and then we can sell all these mittens. And then it is consumerism, and it's greed, and it's money. And so that is taught through the book, The Lorax. And the short film, The Man, talks about the agricultural revolution turning into the industrial revolution, and how we could make things really fast in the assembly line. And if we can make it faster, then we can pump it out and have more consumers, and starts that cycle. And if we can make it faster and more specialized people, then we can pay them less for more work. And it's all started with that type of industrial revolution, the speed at which we could do, which means the speed at which we could make, and the speed at which we could want more under the quotes of needing. The truth is, my dad was very funny once. He was pointing out that he was pointing to Zoe, my dog, and he's like, she doesn't need clothes. She walks around naked. She's okay. She could survive in this life without clothes. Like, you don't need to go shopping again. I'm like, but there's a sale. And the thinking, right? Like, do we actually need?
Right.
How much do we need?
Yeah. No, I had the thought, like when we started the conversation, that like you kind of like, you're a mind reader. I mean, like you kind of like I had that in back of my mind in terms of talking about fast fashion.
Yeah.
Right. Because 20, 30 years ago, and like I'm 41 years old right now, and I'm just learning as I grow. Thank you. Not many have said that in a long time. Thank you. Man, you look amazing as well. Great looking people on the podcast. So thank you. But I'm saying if 20, 30 years ago, I mean, like when we buy a product, it used to last longer, right? Whether it's a television or a refrigerator or anything for that matter. Even the Nokia phones were stronger, actually. They look like a brick, but like they were stronger. They seem to last long. But off late, especially with clothing and other stuff, they don't last like 3 months, 6 months, a year maybe, or a couple of years at best. I saw a documentary, I forget the name of it again, but it said like it's purposely created with low quality so that you keep buying again and again and again, which is, again, I credit profit, greed. I get all that. But if that is going to hurt more, if it's going to hurt the nature and the planet we live in, it looks like, I don't know, then what is the result? Maybe we should not buy the product. I just don't understand. I don't buy as many clothes as I used to these days. I have enough clothes in my wardrobe already. I don't buy as often unless someone gives me something. But I don't know what's the result to this.
The shifting mental models. We have to really think of that from, I work in a school, I look at that from a procurement level. Children are both athletes. My daughter's just in university now. I happen to work in the school that they attend, and trying to make a difference here. It's just been, I've been here for a year and a half now. But as athletes going through high school, I think we have 11 different backpacks at home. Why do we have 11 different backpacks? Because every team that they played on and every year that they played on the team. Because it's identity in the hallways. I don't know how many t-shirts we have from the school, the sports teams. So I don't want to pick on the school because that happens on your sports teams in the community. That will happen through the arts. That'll happen through, again, when it comes down to it, that compass sustainability model and tool. Everything is a problem until we shift our mental models and stop accumulating and stop associating. Again, back to the dog conversation, we don't need the shirt. Maybe we are human, so we need a couple because we cover up our private parts and a dog doesn't. It's shifting mental models in terms of what we need and then how much of it do we need. And things like clothing, for instance, there are circular economies around clothing. There are ways to take fabric and bring it back to a spool and thread and remake something out of it. But does that circular system involve transporting it to another country? And when it comes to waste, we transport lots of waste out of our country and then it sits somewhere. So when I was in Vietnam, I was actually working with a company at the time to see if we can get our school uniforms are a big problem. Because many schools have school uniforms, and then that's such an identity piece. They don't want to just donate it out onto the streets because they don't want just anybody wearing their logo. And then every year they want to look fresh and it's part of their identity. And so we were having this conversation on school uniforms, and we were looking at a way to have our uniforms go through the full cycle. So at that time in Vietnam, we could do a lot of the breaking down of the material, but to re-spool it, we would have to send it to China. So there was nobody local that could re-spool it. They could break it down to a certain point, but not re-spool the threads so we could make them again. So we were getting close. The conversation, the parent body, getting the understanding that we have to have these conversations is a big part at the beginning, right? Like, let's start the conversation so we can poke at the demand, so we can increase the momentum.
Got it. Interesting. No, Vietnam, I have never been to Vietnam. My brother has been. He told me it's beautiful. It's such an amazing place you should visit. I think the beaches are great. That's what he told me. And it's so affordable. That's what I heard. Vietnam, I've never been there. Neither to Qatar, but it's fascinating.
Vietnamese fresh food, the fruit,
It's good.
daily coconut, fresh coconut. Got all my electrolytes in. It was
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I rode
I
my
have to.
rode my Vespa with my helmet to school. Stopped at the street banh mi place on the way to school.
Wow.
Everybody needs to just live
How
life.
long did you end up spending there in
I was-
Vietnam?
I was there for 2 years.
For 2 years? Amazing, amazing. I want to definitely visit. Something I'm trying to wrap my head around was the Western European model when they broke the wall in Berlin. So there was one side came to the other side, and they said like, yeah, there was socialism and capitalism. I'm trying to understand. I'm an ignorant business owner, amateur entrepreneur. I don't understand a lot of things. I'm wrong many times. I'm learning every single time. One day I think capitalism is the solution. The other day I think, oh, there's very valid points on the socialist side as well. So what's really happening? Sometimes I find the truth. Maybe it's in the middle, or maybe it's on either extremes. I don't find myself, right. I couldn't be on the far left, or I couldn't be on the far right.
I think we need to be able to exist on the far left or far right with a shift in our mindset for abundance, that this planet will give us everything that we need, could ever want, could ever need, if we take the planet into consideration when we do anything, whether we make money or we are sharing what we create. What is again, I bring that word up, that circular economy around everything, not just economy, but the life of all products.
Explain that if you can, like the circular economy. I'm an idiot. Like I don't understand many things. If you, I'll tell you after.
I have this at my fingertips still. So anything.
Yeah. Right.
Where is this going waste wise?
Hmm.
And is there a way to
Landfill or to the oceans? Yeah.
redirect it from the landfill and from the ocean? Is there a way to recreate a broken item? Again, in the recreation process, we have to think about the carbon footprint of that manufacturing and the breaking down of, but do the thinking behind it. And then do we start taxing companies that are making products, especially if they're making them cheap and meant to break, and they don't have a plan for the cycle of recreating with the used items? So you can recycle. There's makeup products, when the powder, makeup foundation or whatever finishes, there are certain lines where you can recycle that container and they will go through that recycle. So the company takes ownership of that entire cycle so that they're not just sending everything to the landfill. Vietnam had taken a step at the time I was there to start looking at taxing, if a company, a corporation does not have that full cycle in mind, to then tax the component that they don't have in mind. So if it's the cost of breaking down a rubber tire before they can recreate something else, then if the company's not going to take on that responsibility, then they fall into a different tax bracket. There were conversations at the time of doing things like that, but you don't get voted back into power if you're taxing everyone. So it's very tricky. But again, that's what we have to think about is responsible consumerism, but responsible production. And those fall in the sustainable development goals as well.
Right. I saw a short clip or a movie. I mean, I was reading it. I don't know the facts, but like I was reading it. But it kind of like I saw it like several years ago. It kind of came back in the feed and then came back again. So maybe it's a question I don't have the answer to. There's, we have the trash, like we do the regular trash, and there's a recycle thing. There's a blue bin that we use, and I was thinking they're all getting recycled. And I mean, to my surprise, many of the blue bins again ended up being in the landfill in the oceans again. I mean, what is happening? We were very consciously, religiously trying to throw it in the blue bin, but what's really happening there, Preet? I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Every community is dealing with their waste differently, and when we look at things from the grassroots level, like what's happening at the grassroots and what's happening at the government level and what's happening between. So at the grassroots, we need to shift mental models so that we are sorting our garbage appropriately. At the government level, they have to put in legislation so that things are going to the proper location. Then those locations, the recycle depot, the waste depot, what are the composting, eco-cycle, eco-waste places. We also have to then have legislation in place and monitoring and accountability that they're doing the right things with whatever their responsibility is. So, for example, when we mess up at the grassroots level and we put non-compostable items in the compost, well, when it goes to the plant, that entire bag of compost is now useless because it has non-recyclable or non-compostable items in it, and it makes it all toxic. So if we don't have that understanding in the grassroots level, then we're part of messing up the whole system. If it goes to the composting yard and they, instead of removing the one item that they see and composting the rest, they're just tossing the bag because it's easier.
Right.
But then really, whose job is it to go through all our muck and our garbage?
Yeah.
So everybody's responsible. When we shift our mental model and we're all responsible right from infancy, that's when it's really going to change. It is a top-down, bottom-up approach. And until we meet in the middle and we're all doing it right, we're going to have those things. So I think at the end of the day, the conversation is about do something. If we put pressure on ourselves to do everything, we won't do anything. But make one change. Make one change in your workplace. Make one change in your school. Make one change in your house. Make a change. Help shift mental models. And that's where we are in this evolution.
You're in the education space. I just want to, there have been like good traditional values that are still noble and great. And I think the family values, there are many good values, traditional values. And there's like, we are modernizing the way we learn things. AI is in, and I think the way we educate people around the planet is also changing. Just a quick segue into the education. And I'm just trying to understand what should we still retain from our schooling or education methodology, if you will, and what are the things that we should let go of in creating. I have a 13-year-old child myself, and I'm a parent, and I try to become a better parent every single day and fail at it miserably every single day. We try. End of the day, we cannot stop trying.
So get up and we try again.
So that's where I am too. I'll openly admit. But from schooling and educating people, what should we keep and what should we just let go in educating to children? One
of the pieces of work that I am trying to do is schools as a sustainability living lab. It's big work. But if we can model sustainability within our school and we treat it like Elon Musk's space pod, that nothing can come in and nothing can leave, and we recycle everything and we compost everything and we generate everything and we grow all our fruits and vegetables, and that's what feeds our cafeteria, and we don't provide excess food on the cafeteria plates because most of it goes to waste anyway. Like, when we can model schools as a sustainability living lab, that's when we would be there. Can you do a little bit at home? You can talk about waste on their plate. You can talk about how far that tomato was transported to get to the store before it got into your home, and how you could actually have a garden and you could step outside or on your balcony and have a tomato, as opposed to having it shipped from California. And all the, when you go to a restaurant, where is the meat sourced from? And you could have that conversation with the waiter and with the restaurant, and you can start practicing some of those necessary things that would shift the mental model. So your child, when they choose a restaurant to go to and they're 18 or 25 years old, they're thinking the same things that you were modeling when you were young. When there's waste off their plate, maybe they're actually putting it into a container for leftovers the next day because they don't want to waste it. When they're at a store and they're purchasing vegetables, they're not picking up that plastic bag to put it in. They're just carrying it separate, or they carry their own tote. More we can model, the more impact we'll have on our youth, and that's when mental models will shift.
Got it. What do you think is more important? Is it like personal responsibility or the policy making at the government level?
Top down, bottom up.
Both are important?
Both are essential.
Got it. If you had to choose between technology, would you embrace more technology or less technology in the classrooms?
Technology, when used right, is amazing. We would be we would not meeting the needs of our students if we take out technology. That's their life and their future. Teaching them how to use it responsibly is key. It's key to teach them to use it responsibility. And the question I raise sometimes when I'm teaching English classes is, because you can, should you? Because you can clone, should you? Because you can write this paper in 32 seconds with AI, should you? Because you can, should you is a big piece that we talk about. Because you can raise babies in test tubes, should you? That's the conversation around technology. We have to be very careful with that. But again, same thing with sustainability. We have to train them young to be responsible. And yeah, it's an interesting time. But I don't know if our time is any less or more interesting than any other time. It's just our time.
I mean, something I was a test tube, the children that are not that far yet. Maybe that's more like a biological conversation. I don't think. It's a little far-fetched still for me, right? But at a classroom level, we bought calculators like a month ago. Most recent example. Hey, they wanted a particular calculator of this type. Okay, fine. We were searching for it in Walmart and we got it. So I mean, I was just wondering, okay, fine. This is what they were saying about calculators like 15, 20, 30 years ago when calculators were by, and they said, no, you're still supposed to do it manually, and they started embracing calculators now. Now the schools are requesting it. Shift in thinking, and I'm sure like AI will be a similar thing in the near future. That's what I think. I mean, I'm not saying it's selfishly as a technologist myself, but
it's now. So let me take you back a little bit. This might be interesting for our conversation. So my journey as being a visionary started before I knew I was a visionary. I actually only realized I was a visionary a few years ago, but I've always been one. First example is I taught in Saudi Arabia at the beginning of my career. And my kids were actually born in Saudi Arabia at the American International School. And I was awarded one of the first smart boards that hit the planet. I had to write an essay for it, and I'm like, sure, I'll do that. I wrote an essay for it, and it arrived in my classroom, and I didn't know how to use that. A smart board, I mean, we came from overhead projectors. So now we're using a smart board, and it's interactive. And I sat on that school technology committee, and we pulled up the old, what's the technology in the school? And on that list was scissors, was calculators, was the school computer lab that we all went to the computer lab for one computer class. And now I have a smart board at my classroom. And so moving the conversation from scissors on what technology is in the school to what we have in schools nowadays, I was part of that journey of helping people learn how to use a smart board. When I came back to Canada, the international teaching world is about 10 years ahead of public education. Even in our Western world, international education is far advanced, and they change and adapt more quickly. So I came back home after 4 years, and I'm teaching in the public system in Canada, and there's still no smart boards anywhere. And I've had one for 4 years. So I came back to teaching with overhead projectors, and we're putting the plastic sheet down and adjusting the light and projecting a screen. I'm just at a loss of what's going on. And I was part of that evolution of all our classrooms have overhead projectors now. Along that journey, a principal came to me and said, Preet, can you use this in your classroom? And he was given a vertical garden tower. I'm like, sure, I'll use it. I had no idea. We're unpacking the box we're putting together. I've never seen anything like this before. We put together a garden tower, and that was a 6-foot tall hydroponic garden tower so that the kids could then grow in their classrooms. And when I ended up going to Qatar, 10 years later, they were trying to use them in all their classrooms. And the Qatar Foundation schools were trying to set up a vertical tower garden farm. So they were trying to farm all the stuff with vertical gardens. So it's just another example of being thrown into something and being the visionary, trying to map it out. How do we use a garden in a school? How do we teach garden to table and carbon footprinting with this? Being a steward of this really good resource. So it was that garden tower that got me into my Qatar position as a sustainability instructional coach. Again, I didn't weave the path. The path kind of weaved itself. And then I fell into these sustainability positions. I'm currently actually in another part of this journey, and I'm realizing now why do I fall into these? I'm in a neurodivergent classroom. And so I teaching. I have 8 autistic kids who are low functioning, and like understanding how they communicate and helping the world understand how they communicate. I don't remember where I went on this stretch from, but I just wanted to share with you it's the visionary that I am. I'm not super sustainable person. I'm not a super technical person. I'm the visionary that starts all the conversations and then just kind of lets things happen. That's been my...
you can only connect the dots looking backwards. So now you're starting to connect the dots. So you realize where you are and where you want to go. That's beautiful. I mean, I have
the conversation started with AI in education.
The calculators and that's right. Yeah.
Right. And so I just finished teaching a summer English grade 11 course, and I used ChatGPT for all of it. And why would we take that tool away? Why would I spend more time lesson planning? Why would I read every single reading when I had to teach that course in 18 days? What they usually do over 4 months, it was an 18-day course. I didn't have time to prep. And so if I'm using it in my professional world, we have to let them use it responsibly, at least, so then we can teach them how to be responsible. We can't take it away from them.
Right. No, absolutely. I have a lot of gratitude and respect for teachers and the teaching profession, because it is a thankless job. Like parents and doctors and so many other service members, like teaching is a thankless profession. They do so much. Every time this is what I've realized myself. I'm a pathetic teacher and I'm a pathetic student.
That's not true.
I can self-learn quickly, but if I have someone ask me to do something, I just cannot do it. I really struggle with following instructions. It's a defective product, myself. So, and I learned to understand myself a little bit as I grew older and whatnot. But I think teachers in a society and in an organization, an institution, they're doing a thankless job in every community that they're doing. I started to embrace that better when I was growing as a parent myself. So that's where I come from. Forgive all the ignorant questions. So right. So
it's about understanding everyone. Like I said, I'm in a neurodivergent world, and all my students learn differently and communicate differently. So, I would say to your teachers, did you teach him differently? If he was a self-learner, did we allow that style of learning to surface? And so I actually challenge the profession in that. We're not just stand up and teach and deliver. We have to work with everybody's learning styles. So
I had a post.
It's not necessarily a thankless job. I mean, at the end of the day, we get self-fulfillment, the whites of their eyes. So I don't know. I say that as we're about to go on strike any day here in Alberta. So it's an interesting journey.
I'd actually written a post several years ago. Again, this is coming from a perfectly ignorant VJ, and I don't know everything. But this is what I felt at the time, and I wrote it. I kept it. It's on the site. It's still there. So I haven't had a chance to ask anyone a question. Maybe I'll show you that question, and then I want to collect your thoughts on it. So it's about teaching. It's about slightly not what you want to hear, but at the same time, I want to get your thoughts on it, because you might be well equipped to answer this question than anyone else. So here's what I wrote. I wrote, school education across the world. Okay, why is not? Okay, school education across the world should rather stop teaching and breeding fear, intimidation, division, submission, and self-centeredness. I mean, that's my ignorant mind talking, right? Instead, it should rather promote indulge critical thinking, innovation, knowledge and wisdom, mutual respect, love, peace and harmony, and humility. This is what I wrote. But what are your thoughts on it?
I think you hit the point. We have to embrace all perspectives and all styles and all of humanity. And so you can't teach a fish to climb a tree, because we're not working with the skill set that they're even capable of. But that doesn't mean a fish can't do amazing things, or a monkey who can climb a tree can't do amazing things. So we have to work with their skill sets. The world that we live in today requires all skill sets. We're not assembly line workers where we need one. We have to have a very broad skill set. Humanity needs a broad skill set, and each individual needs quite a broad skill set. And so what I would say to all of that is we have to embrace all of humanity.
Where I get really I have struggled understanding is like we create a curriculum, a syllabus. There are multiple names to it. Like basically, it's like a set pattern. Okay, this is okay. Grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. So we create it, and there could be 30 different kids, 30 different things that they wanted to pursue, right? And one size fits all, right? That's what the policy institution making says, right? It's easier. I get it. It's easier to create one curriculum. Hey, a million people go pursue this. But those million kids could be a million different things, the way they pursue things. Maybe they don't want to, you know what I'm talking about? You hit nail in the head. Like a fish cannot like climb a tree or something, right? How do you think we should pursue education? Because like it's a really hard answer. I know you may not have all answers. Also, I appreciate, but am I even thinking clearly, or is it's not the right question?
Definitely. Two things come to mind as you bring up these questions. One is Sir Ken Robinson is a thought leader in education, and he's the late Sir Ken Robinson. I was very emotional.
I love him. The TED Talk, the famous TED Talk.
He's amazing. Not just a TED Talk, he has books. He's incredible. But his whole premise was we have to embrace creativity, and that we stifle creativity very young when we say there's only one way to do something. And there's one way to learn, and there's one product that we're trying to get you all to. And so if there's an art project, it has to look this way. But somebody who thinks a bit more abstract or differently, we're not embracing that. We're chopping it down and saying that's wrong. And so it was like a left brain, right brain. Industrial age was very right-brained, I think, is your logical brain, and left brain is your more artistic brain. And I might have them reversed. I forget these things. But he was saying we are so right brain focused, logical focused, that we are stifling left brain development. And so he would talk about more of how do we connect the synapses and how do we go back and forth and make sure that we're evolving the whole brain. Very powerful research that he did. That's one thing that came to mind when you were talking about that is we creating a space for the whole brain to develop. That's important. Something else came to mind, but it's left my mind because my whole brain's not developed.
It's all right.
Yeah, I've lost my train of thought.
You can bring it back when you get it back.
But that was like a big piece of education is actually one of the slowest transforming industries, institutions. We change very slowly. We're being forced to change really quickly now, but we have teachers, professionals who are still part of slow change. They never had to move so quickly, and they're in positions of power and leadership because they had age and experience behind them, but they don't have that speed of thought and that speed of action because they've been allowed to progress their careers without speed. I mean, we could do that before. You can't do that now. And education needs to catch up. I think of a cow down a trodden path and they follow each other and they eat and we're just keeping everybody on this trodden path. If that's your teaching style, your school style, or your administration style, or your government is forcing that type of thinking, you're going to lose the kids. The kids are far gone. We can't connect with them. They don't want to be there. What are you going to do with a whole generation that doesn't want to be in school? School needs to adapt to make them want to be there.
Right.
Left brain, right brain, whole child, creativity. There is a standard base of knowledge everybody needs to have. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to hold a base knowledge. But you have to allow them to be creative. The IB does a really good job with that, allowing personal projects and personal exploration. They force it into their programming, which is amazing, but not all.
Got it. No, I agree with you. It does have to catch up. It doesn't move as fast because there is a lot of levers involved. It's not easy to quickly change things. And when COVID hit, I mean, we could see the chaos across every institution, every industry, pretty much. I think one of the worst hit was also education and the schooling industry, because these are not adults. We are dealing with kids, and it was not always easy to navigate that COVID era, if you will, right? So we
see the impact still in schools with the groups that it depends what age they were when they passed through.
Right.
You can see it's impacted them. They're still holding on to some of those.
How was your journey through the COVID era? Because I'm sure like you had to deal with a lot.
I was in Qatar at that time as a sustainability instructional coach. So my COVID journey was crazy because during COVID and nobody's allowed to fly, I took 19 international flights back and forth and around the world with my kids and so kidding. So special entry permits and dealing with different governments and their regulations and bureaucracy. It was quite a crazy time. And in terms of the school, I was very fortunate in that I was in an international school where technology was at our fingertips, and moving quickly is a little bit more in line with the international schools. Publicly, we move a lot slowly. One of the challenges I'm finding now is my administrator said, it's kind of like trying to move a mountain with a shoulder, like if you want to impart change. And so being a visionary and looking at playing fields of where we can talk about sustainability and where we can help others make these connections and looking at all those playing fields, I see them quickly and I want action. But her words were she's like, it's like moving a mountain with a shoulder.
How do you see? It's a damn hard work. How do you see you have traveled a lot, you've spent a lot of time in the Middle East, also in the East, Vietnam, and you mentioned Saudi and Qatar. And how do you see people embrace education in the East, and the Middle East? They bring Finland a lot for some reason. Is it Finland? And how do you see North America, Canada approaching education?
We are looked at as being very well-written curriculums, highly educated population. Being in it, it's not necessarily a fair comparison. It's not apples to apples, because when I'm home and I'm here, I'm in a public education setting. So our curriculum is well-written. Our population is well-educated. When I go internationally, I'm working with a very different demographic, where the students are from families that are royalty. That's why they're in the schools, or they're the lawyers and they're the doctors and they're the engineers and they're the bankers who are in the country. So we teach their kids. So the demand on education, and it's more of a corporate feel, like those are our clients and they pay a high, like in Vietnam, those parents for grade 12 students were paying over 40,000 US a year for them to get the IB diploma. So it's not comparing apples to apples. Very different demographics. So how do I see it? The stars will reach the stars.
Is it privilege? Education is a privilege. And in some of, for the kind of education costs that you're mentioning, it seems like not everyone it's a privilege for the few.
It's a huge privilege, and it's the standard that's set by the elite populations when I go internationally. Publicly, we have a great system here. International education has more of an opportunity to put those students into Ivy League universities because of the rigor, because of the demands, because as a profession where it's more corporate feel, more accountability, big bucks. Here, public education, I have a job for life. So does it make me need to be better every day? I don't know. We're going on strike to get a 3% raise, but in a corporate situation, 3% isn't even something you raise an eyebrow to. So it's a whole different sphere. Overall, education in the Western world is fantastic, accessible, and meets the needs of the entire population. Whereas in other parts of the world, sometimes the less fortunate have less opportunities.
It's very unfortunate, actually. I always think education and what is the other one? The healthcare. It should be a basic human right. That's what I ended up thinking. I lived about good 5 years in the US. Healthcare is not free in the US, as you know. It's very different in Canada. But I think it's a human right, because like you're born into the world. I think you have a right to be educated, right? Get into an accident, it's not your mistake. Or if you get sick of something, you should be able to treat yourself and get back to life, right? I think if you get sick, you could go bankrupt in the US.
Yeah.
And I see in India, education it's also partly a privilege. And not all public schools are the same. There is public schooling, but it doesn't have the same kind of. The moment I say something about public schooling, it is taken as a criticism. It's not, because the parents stand in lines to get into a private school, It's a fact. That's a situation, right? So I'm not a big fan of that myself. Anyway, switching gears to this. How well are we preparing the kids for the future? And do we have a lot of work to do? And if you think yes or no, but what are the top 3 or 4 things that we should focus on in raising tomorrow's kids?
Digitally responsible, collaborative. They have to be able to work together. I think regenerative thinking is extremely important.
Regenerative thinking. Can you explain that? Regenerative thinking?
Yeah, I guess the easiest example on that would be waste into soil, being able to see waste and being compost it back into soil. But everything, that circular system that I'm talking about, everything has to be regeneratable. So digitally responsible, collaborative, regenerative thinking. And this is the biggest one. I think it's the biggest one. And it's something that we never traditionally didn't see as something that could be taught. You have it or you don't. And that's empathy. And empathy is not something you have or don't have. It can be taught how to be empathetic. And regenerative thinking starts actually with having some empathy for our planet. Working with others is having empathy and understanding of others, that collaborative piece. Digital responsibility is, again, the empathy of the planet. So I think overall, the biggest thing is we have to teach our infants, right from infancy, to have empathy, what that word is, what it looks like, what it feels like, so they can start thinking it and modeling it before they can even think about not modeling.
Should all education or all kids be prepared to be in an, I don't know what's the right word, an industrial world? I mean, like, should we all prepare all kids to be a future employee? Because Sir Richard Robinson, late Richard Robinson,
Ken Robinson,
if I remember his TED talk, he was saying, "Oh, this is a 1993 batch. This is like 2005 batch, 2010 batch. Okay, fine, the batches are great, but what are we preparing them for? Are we preparing them to be better employees of the future, or are we preparing them to be better critical thinkers and then ask the right questions?" Somewhere along the way, Preet, I found out that it's not about actually getting the answers. Maybe it's about asking the right questions. So are we preparing them to critically think and have them ask the right questions? Because questioning is not very much appreciated from my learning experience with many of the institutions. Institution doesn't like to be questioned, right? Even the salary raise that you're talking about, 3%, same thing happened with Air Canada a few weeks ago. They don't like to be questioned, right? But as a society, I think we need to start asking better questions to corporations, to individuals. Okay, fine, you're creating 1 million cans of soda. How are you planning to safely dispose it? It's a question, right? So similarly on every other front, to institutions, to leaders and other things. So I have a feeling maybe, so what are your thoughts on it before I start? I can speak for hours, but I'll let you speak.
I think we have a really failed system if we're not asking questions. And then power and control is just left to those who have answers to whatever questions that they're coming up with. And so you end up having a very low-level society if there's no questioning. Questioning is top of the chart. So you hit the nail on the head, Vijay. I mean, I don't know what system is. You have an Indian background, and if your education system asks you to question, but that was a big lean in for me with Sir Ken Robinson, was giving kids the space to question, to explore, to think, to be creative. I saw myself as a guide on the side right from the beginning instead of the sage on the stage, look at me and look at what I'm saying, as opposed to just guiding the kids on the side, in the shadows, in the background. They're actually doing all the thinking. So what do I think the future, this batch? Definitely, we need to question and think more than ever, because power and control has always been a part of humanity. I mean, right from your World War days to Industrial Revolution days to Elon Musk is part of our conversation, and Donald Trump times. Power and control has always been there in humanity. And the only thing that's risen our ability to question. 100% we need to be thinkers and we need to question. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head.
When I was growing up, I was a very, what is the right word? I was not an extrovert. I was more of an introvert. I still tell my friends or even my wife, like, I'm still an introvert. They don't believe it. I think I'm still an introvert, but
you can't do this podcast if you're a true introvert.
But I'm trying to learn the society, learn the community, go talk to people. And I spent a lot of time being in the corporate. They say climb the ladder. I did climb the ladder. I got the salaries I wanted. But at somewhere along the way, I did not feel it was right. I felt there was a glass ceiling. I wanted to break it open. That's when I started connecting with people. I was the guy just sitting behind the desk doing the work that my supervisor manager told me to do. And that's what I was doing for a long time until very recently, like 5, 6, 7 years, or maybe after Canada maybe did that to me. I don't know. But everything I could unlearn or learn was after I came out of schooling, after I was in the society. What I call self-learning, that's helped me a lot. Internet was a big thing in the learning process. The reason I talk about it is because one of my person that I work with, he's from Latin America, Colombia, Bogota. He worked with me in my prior company called Honeywell. And he told me, Preet, he's 58 years old. He spent about good 28, 30 years in the company. And he told me, Vijay, he doesn't speak a word of English, by the way. He speaks in Spanish. So his daughter has to translate it in English. So he told me, Vijay, at one point I did feel I became a number in the spreadsheet. When I realized that I couldn't continue that job anymore, he did spend like 28, 30 years into the job, right? So that rang a bell when he said that. And I have felt that many times because you do get the feeling you're a number in a spreadsheet, right? So I'm not finding myself not doing a very good job of like trying to convey all of this to my child because he's little young, still growing. But at least I'm trying to ask questions and try to understand society better. What are we supposed to do? I mean, because it's a one-set curriculum, a one-size-fit-all solution that's being kind of pushed down the throat. Okay, this is what you get to study, and there's a real world. The real world and what we're training the kids for doesn't seem to match. At least for me, it didn't match. So I'm just trying to understand how the future kids will navigate this world, actually. Maybe that's a question.
I bring it
Sorry
down
for the long-winded question. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, 100% there's a couple of things that connected. One of the things that I'm hearing is learning ends. You turn a magic age of 18 or 12, we graduate with our grade 12 diploma and learning ends.
Yeah.
I go back to my roots. I'm Sikh, and Sikhism, the word Sikh means lifetime learner. Sikh means learning. And so we're lifetime learners. There's no timeline on your child's learning. So as they go through the system and that made up curriculum that everybody has to chew down and swallow and spit out, there's a base knowledge that they're gathering in that. There's experiences and opportunities that they're hurdles that they're crossing through that journey. And as a parent, I mean, there's no the timeline will continue. And so your 40-year-old child, when, I don't know what your age difference is, but maybe you're 70 and they're 40, they're still learning at 40. You're still learning at 40. And so I think the question more comes down to when do we streamline? When do we expose them to a broad education? And then when do we streamline? Right now, it's grade 12. Get your grade 12 diploma. Do you want to change that as a father and have them go through school faster so they chew down that other curriculum and you can streamline them earlier? Do you take away certain opportunities because you can see what's best for them? Or we just life, the whole life journey is about learning, and they'll learn and they'll get opportunities at different choice points and crossroads in their life. And you're already having the conversations with your child by just the thinking that you're doing. So let them learn and be open to whatever comes their way. There is some research, it's just coming to me now. It's really powerful. And I wish I reference this a lot and I don't even remember where I picked it up from. But it has to do with when you are interested in something, when there is an interest, when your child has an interest, flood them with that opportunity. So if your kid all of a sudden wants to sew something and thread a needle, get them a sewing machine, get them all the threads, get them the apps they need to create, flood them with it. If they pick up a basketball and they want to learn, all of a sudden there's a little interest, flood them with the opportunity, get them a coach, put them on a team, take them out to the basketball court. Interest. Flood your own interest. And that is also a big part of learning. So abundance. I can do whatever, and when there is interest, abundance.
Love that. What you said about abundance and like flood them with opportunities. I think that's the That's going to be probably the title of the show. Love it. Love it. One other aspect I saw, we'll have another 15, 20 minutes of this conversation. We are pretty much getting to the end of it. I'll play a video of it, and then we'll do an AI session pretty quick. We'll draw something for you, and then we'll do rapid fire and we'll finish. So we're getting one thing I observed, especially during not just COVID, even otherwise, in terms of a lack of courage. Because today, to be able to pursue anything, not just children, anyone for that matter, I think the courage plays a big part to be able to go. I mean, even to do anything, even to go write a post, you need courage. Oh, I have seen many people like, oh, no, I don't post anything on the social media. I mean, it's nothing great, but I think people need courage. Without courage, nothing is happening. Right. So how do we seed courage in the future generation? Are we doing enough to encourage that, or are we doing enough to suppress that? Maybe that's a question.
The IB, one of their characteristics that they like to adopt in their students is risk-taking. It's a big piece of the puzzle. So what I gather from your question, and that's the highlight, is are we promoting risk-taking, or are we diffusing risk-taking? Are we feeding fear? Are we feeding opportunity? Posting is an interesting one. That was the example you used. And I also caution my own children and anyone. Posting is very public and very big and very global. Right. Anything we do on social media. So that sets a caution there. The caution lives in a human. It's purposeful. Right? We don't just jump out of a plane. We have fear for a reason. It keeps us safe. So caution isn't something that we should worry about, but we need to amplify that risk-taking is okay. Risk-taking is necessary to grow. Failure is part of success. Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, all these guys have quotes that, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Jordan talks about how many times he missed his free throw before he got his free throw, like the percentage of his misses. Baseball's a great sport in that how many times do you swing and miss? And if we put kids in that really young, you're not hitting the ball every time. Yeah, right. You should be hitting the ball a very small percentage of the time. So there's lots of hidden small ways that we can expose kids to risk-taking that isn't about where the whole world is going to come tumbling down if they swing a bat and miss.
I'll rephrase my question just to give more context to this question, because when you started explaining, I understood maybe I didn't do a very good job of asking phrasing the question right. Right. Failure has been a solid teacher, especially in my case. So when I tried something and I sucked at it and I failed at it, that's been most like teaching moment for me. Tons of lessons learned from every failure. Let's say posting is a simple thing, but if you want to try something new and you fail at, and I think that is a code that says failure is a stepping stone of success. I really understood it when I tried a lot more things. I failed at few, failed more. Then that's a learning process that I'm going through as a person myself. So, but from what I understand in terms of like as a society, there is a constant push to succeed. Failure is not embraced, actually. Especially I've seen it with my own parents. There's a constant push to succeed. Hey, you got to. Yeah, there are only three things, Preet. In the Indian growing up or the South Asian growing up, you have to be either a doctor, engineer, or a failure. There are only three. There are only three things you can be, and that's immense pressure on the child. Right. So, you have to succeed. You have to be an engineer. Right. So it doesn't make any sense. I understand it. But that's where I'm coming from, because when we embrace failure, then you get an opportunity to try it. I posted some time long ago. I said it's not about the regret is not about actually failing. Regret is actually should be about not trying. Isn't it?
Beautifully said.
Oh, that's the question, actually.
But that wasn't a question. That was a statement. Oh no, I need an answer for a statement.
So the question is like, is it like, are we doing enough to embrace failure? Because like, if you're not trying and fail, and that's a way to move forward, right? Because you got to get the grade A, you got to get whatever the
but who's the we? I mean, are we talking about the education system, or are we talking about you as a parent? Or
I'm talking as a society, actually.
So as a society, I mean, from someone, I've lived in 5 different countries. society looks very different everywhere I go. And that cultural roots look very different there's so many different ways of living. I think we just have to embrace different ways of living and gain
100%.
perspective of different ways of living. And pocketing people as lawyers or engineers, like there is a certain society that does that. That certain society also treats very poorly their carpenters and their crane operators and their and so there is the issue becoming a lawyer engineer, or is it not becoming one of those poorly treated human positions? So embracing humanity, we have a need for every class. We have a need for every job and role. And so I think it becomes an institutional problem when we don't have equal footing. We're running trying to promote kids to graduate out of the trades because we don't have enough workers in our country that can run the pipelines and that can do the work that needs to be done. Again, in those traditionally low-level jobs, I think a plumber in Canada makes more than an engineer makes in Canada.
Right.
So it is, what is society doing to itself by just ranking? The need is everything. So we have to stop ranking and just embrace humanity. Doesn't matter what skill set they're bringing. As long as they're serving society in some sort of way and filling a societal need, then they're an honorable, amazing, incredible human being.
100%.
It's the ones that do nothing. That's more of an issue, not what kind of something do you do? Are you lawyering? Are you plumbing? It's not what you're doing. It's a factory.
Failing massively as well.
No, it's not failing. I'm a visionary thinker. Stop all the class building. Embrace all of humanity. There's value everywhere.
That's right.
There's value everywhere.
Speaking of humanity, and you mentioned Sikhism, and I just want to applaud and thank you for all the wonderful work that the Sikh people do. I've spent a lot of time around Punjabis. One of my former supervisor manager was a Punjabi, and I have good friends from Toronto who are Sikh and Punjab. And the reason I bring that is because one of my friend, he was in his really life low times, not doing really well at one point of life. He's better now, but for about a good few weeks, the Gurudwaras ended up serving him food. So he would actually send me pictures. So Vijay, today I had a meal with a dessert from Gurudwara, and so much gratitude and appreciation for the community. They're making humanity a little bit better every day. So kudos to that.
I can't take much credit, but I have a lot of pride in the work the people from my roots do. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Shout out. Our population does incredible.
I agree. I want to play a video of Brené Brown. She talks about vulnerability. You might have heard it. I just want to see your reflections on vulnerability and how it is embraced by today's children and whatnot. So I just want to play that video. I'll take your feedback right after.
That vulnerability is courage. That vulnerability is courage in you, but weakness in me. When I meet you, it's the first thing I look for in you, but it's the last thing I want to show you in me. And so I think to really put ourselves out there, knowing that if we do that enough, we're going to fail, I just don't think it gets more courageous than that.
Did it play out okay for you? Or? Okay. Any thoughts on vulnerability at all?
It's an interesting word for me. I've been called out a few times for sometimes you need to just be a little bit more vulnerable. So it's something that I'm just I'm not. I don't even realize I'm not. And so what I think about it, vulnerability is we don't know. I don't know. So I say we. I didn't learn what empathy was until I was in my 40s. I didn't know the word existed. I didn't know. I realized later, maybe I have always been an empathetic person. So that was a word that was a little bit of an enigma to me when it was brought up in my life. So vulnerability is also one of those words that we are still trying to learn what our bodies are doing, what our guts are doing, what our sensations are inside to really touch base with that word. It's such a feelings word, and feelings are something that humanity is not comfortable with. So when I hear the word vulnerability, I'm still trying to understand what it feels like to be vulnerable. So there must be a huge, huge block of fear there for myself. And it must have been rooted somewhere where I wasn't. Sometimes I think about I was never allowed to feel pain. Because if I felt pain, my mom felt it more than me. So if I had to get a dental procedure done, my mom would be bawling. I wasn't allowed to be vulnerable. So I had to be stronger than her and undergo the treatment. Because if I was vulnerable, she would be in shambles. So vulnerability, maybe there's some root work that is done in infancy, in toddlers, and in kids, just like empathy. Maybe those words are a little bit intertwined, and Renee Brown is hitting it on the head with just another word.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Great.
I didn't know I would say all that. It just came out. It was touching, actually, to think about. Thank you for raising that opportunity to think.
So next section is the AI section. I'd invite you to request AI to draw you something. It's going to try and draw your imagination. You can ask for anything, and we'll have a question around it, and we'll talk about it. So this AI section seems to be, I mean, we are a technology company. We do a lot more in technology. So we want to do something related to tech besides being on the digital medium on the podcast. So we thought this would be an interesting thing to tie people into AI a little bit and make it interesting. So
I'm a little nervous. I have to be vulnerable here.
I mean, you can ask AI for anything. I mean, so AI has to be vulnerable now. It's going to create it for us. So we're only giving it the instruction. Hey, do this. You can ask AI to draw whatever you like.
Draw me Elon Musk's space pod.
Elon Musk's space pod. That's it. Good. Okay. I've seen the Starship, not the space pod, but anyway.
Maybe we need to just have a space pod without his name on it.
Yeah. Draw me a space pod.
Yeah, for a yeah, let's just leave it at that. Draw me a space pod.
It creates two images. It's still thinking. I'm curious, is it going to come up with something or... Okay, I'm going to start. Let's see what it brings. It's thinking. Okay, fine. It's drawing now.
No.
It's... I have to reset it. It's because it's that preceding question.
Yeah, it's stuck on his name. We don't want him. We want the space pod. What I'm hoping it draws is like all this green and everything has to live within itself.
Yeah, there we go.
No, not the vision in my head. No.
Not the vision in your head.
No, not even close.
We can
be bad at this inputting into AI, I guess.
No. We can Google for the images and we can talk about the idea is to get an imagination going and then continue the conversation pretty much from there. What are we searching for? Are we searching for a space pod?
Yeah, kind of. I'm thinking of a regenerative capsule. So everything, maybe for 1 million people. So like maybe it needs to see it as a community.
Regenerative capsule. Space pod.
I'm going to go on my computer and get this up for you. Come on.
You have some pictures of it. Feel free to do. Space pod by Elon Musk. Let me try searching that. Would it be something like this? Like this? I don't know. Now I'm really curious how it looks like. There is one here, which...
I'm clicking back and forth now. Not at all I have in mind.
No, that's all right. I think I got the context. The context is we are trying to create a space pod.
You know, when
transport humans to a different planet, like Mars, for instance.
Or if we had to live in space and we had to take 1 million humans and put us in space.
Right.
I want that neighborhood in space. I want that city in space, so encapsulated in a bubble. So if you were to take a GoCam and do a huge go all over Edmonton and you see the river valley and everything, how could you encapsulate that in a that could float in space? That's what I have in my mind. So you could put some magic words together and try to get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. I can continue searching. There's...
See, my brain is not aligned with AI yet.
What are the words can we use? Space pod, spaceship?
Space pod community for 100 people, spaceship for 100 people, or 1 million people.
So, yeah, this looks more like it.
The other thing that comes to mind when I think about it is that mile that they're making in Saudi Arabia. They're making a whole city on a mile, but that's a similar idea.
The line?
The line.
Okay, Neom it's called. Is it
Yes.
right? I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay. I had a good friend. She moved from Edmonton to Saudi recently. She's been a guest on the podcast. So I just know very little what Saudi is doing right now. But the only project I know is the Neom, the Line project.
They're doing a lot right now. They're doing a lot. So again, when I was in Qatar, they were doing a lot for FIFA, and they were the spot on the world that was just building quickly, rapid construction, rapid build. And Riyadh, Saudi Arabia is their next level. All your next level people they're doing next level things.
One person said from Hong Kong, I'm sure as an educator, you might come across this. And he said he's a Swedish founder, and Sweden, right? Volvos and whatnot, it all came from Sweden. So he moved to Beijing like 15, 17 years ago, and he lives in Hong Kong now. And in the podcast, he said, Vijay, if I were to call someone and ask for a particular product, and they would be able to design, manufacture, package it, and then door deliver in 2 weeks in Hong Kong. Right? I don't know of China, but Hong Kong is China still. But anyway, they're able to do that. And he challenged me that America is like a decade behind in all of that. I'm sure like North America, Canada is similar, and Europe is very similar as well. I don't think it happens neither in Europe or here. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the speed at which they could deliver something, I was amazed by, wow, is it impossible? It was a high-tech product, like not even like another mouse or a USB. It's actually a high-tech robotic kind of a product.
I lived that in Qatar during COVID. I mean, we got our immunization shots before the rest of the world, and we had scan cards to get in and out of grocery stores and biometrics everywhere immediately. Like this happened within a few weeks. We had to use our biometrics to get into the grocery store. Like they had that up and going that fast.
Yeah,
it's just another world.
It's another world, actually. I mean, like, the more that's the reason, because I started speaking with people in Edmonton, and I wanted to have this conversation going in a global format. That's why I started reaching out to more people, and the kind of lessons and the learnings I get across from different people across the world. It's just fascinating.
What's really fascinating on that biometric thing? Initially was innovated in Calgary, and I actually ran into that gentleman on a flight once. And wow. So the biometrics that they're using now internationally and everywhere,
right?
Identity and fingerprint identity and so on. It was somebody in Calgary who initially started the whole journey. I can't remember his name. I should have.
Couldn't have known that. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Isn't that amazing? So the question I had from the spaceship conversation, just to wrap that section, was, so what would happen to humanity? I mean, like, I know I've seen Jurassic Park like 25, 30 years ago. I love the movie for some reason. Although my favorite fantasy movies is Jurassic Park. I do love that. But what if there was a major, I don't know, is it called an asteroid, or a major big event happens to the Earth or something? Like, many animals go extinct, right? So we see that every day. Many species have gone extinct. So if we were to continue our humanity, our journey as humans beyond Earth, is it not a good thing? Or what are your thoughts in general? Creating a pod outside, the sustainability aspect of it, it's a totally different conversation. But overall, to continue the humanity forward, how do you see that overall concept taking shape?
It was a show I watched. I can't remember what it was called. Something Earth. Oh, I'm terrible at remembering those things. And it was where Earth was uninhabitable, and they put 1 million people, I think it was 1 million, up on a space pod, and they ran humanity like that. That population had to save Earth, so had to come back to Earth and save Earth decades and decades or centuries later. So it was like, we have to, in order to make sure that we continue living, we actually have to leave planet Earth and come back after some time. And so that was our way to make sure we continue to exist.
Right.
That's kind of where that thinking comes from, was the show that I had watched. And so then when they came back onto Earth, they met cavemen and people living a very uncivilized life. And then they had to, again, conquer Earth and conquer the world. But for centuries, they had to go live in a space pod. and
Got it.
ensure that everybody is healthy and there's more children being born and people were dying and that the whole cycle was still taking place.
Right. Got it. One documentary that I want to refer to you is like Michael Moore's Where to Invade Next. Maybe you've already seen it. It was an amazing documentary. I saw it like a month ago. Loved it. So Where to Invade Next, he kind of like mocks US in terms of like invading, but it's not about invading. It's not about invasion. It's about what can we learn from other countries. So he goes to Germany and France and Finland and Tunisia and like Iceland. And like he goes to 7 or 8 countries and kind of brings back the learnings and to America. So I'm sure like Canada can learn a lot from that too. That's a documentary you might love. One simple thing was like the kids in France, in French, they don't eat French fries. They seem to have like a 5-course meal or a 4-course meal with a dessert every single day. This in France, by the way. And then Michael Moore asked the chef, so don't you do like French fries? I mean, like we eat it every day. And they go, no, probably once a year or something. That's fun to watch, but a lot of like humble learning from that. You might love that. So I just want to share that.
I would love that.
And if you could recommend 2 guests for our show, I would love that. You don't have to do that right now. Later, I would love that. Any 2 people who would be a great guest on the show.
If you can get Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall, can you please introduce me? I would love to talk to them. Any 2 guests would be great.
I would have to try to get her for you. And Kathy Berger Kay did a lot for service with the IB and has put on that lens of sustainability, very powerful. And then if Compass Education, those were 3. I gave you 3. Somebody to speak about the work that they're doing. They're doing
Jean Trudeau and Kathy Berger.
Goodall.
I would love for you to.
Like it's going to, like kind of in your Michael Moore category. Like she's done amazing, great work for Roots for Shoots as part of hers. Like, yeah.
Got it.
Fun earth kind of stuff.
Sure thing. We'll continue our conversation offline in LinkedIn. Would love if you could introduce to those people. We'd be happy to. We want to pretty much talk to like anyone actually who's a leader, thought leader, change maker. Anyone who has like a goodwill for humanity, I want to talk to them. So that's all it is. And this is a wrap. We are going to wrap up pretty much. Just a few rapid fire fun questions. Get to know you a little bit, Preet. So quick questions like, if someone has to sit down with you, are you like a coffee, tea, or an orange juice? What kind of drink would you love having?
Not orange juice, but I'm almost an everything person. Coffee, tea, anything, whiskey, beer.
Cool. Let's roll. Are you like a night owl or a morning person?
Definitely a morning person.
Got it. If there's a book that changed your perspective, what would it be?
A Whole New World. A Whole New World. I think it's Sir Ken Robinson.
Got it. One sustainability habit that you never skip.
I don't waste my food.
That's a big one. What's the most inspiring student moment that you ever had in your education career?
One of my students won the inaugural Initial Earth. That was a $100,000 award, but more than the $100,000 was the global impact and ripple that the Earth Prize was able to uphold a student and give them that kind of scale and leverage. She created with her group. They created a biodegradable feminine hygiene pad. So they to win the prize, they had to go through, the minimal viable product and also create kind of just like their elevator pitch and all of that business thinking around it. But then once they won, the Earth Prize gave them the monetary leverage to then actually go to manufacturing and get it patented. And to see a student go through that was powerful. And the connections they made to other venture capitalists and other people who were trying to empower sustainable thinking, entrepreneurship, and to realize all of that exists in this world is all just a really powerful journey.
You spent a lot of time abroad beyond Canada, like Qatar, Vietnam, and Saudi Arabia. What surprised you the most, and what was it?
When I actually lived in Oman before this whole journey, my first teaching year was there. What surprised me the most was it was above 50 degrees Celsius. And I was 22, 23 years old myself. So young, just come out of Canada. Teaching in Oman, 50 degrees Celsius, and a gentleman is working a jackhammer breaking cement in the middle of the day without a hard hat on and wearing flip-flops.
How do you, just a follow-up question on that. How do you see Edmonton gets to minus 45, minus 50 kind of thing? How do you see the both extremes, the plus 50 and the minus 50? And how do you see the human spirit between those two extremes?
We're really resilient and we can endure a lot, and both are manageable through technology and being indoors, AC or heating. I think the barriers or the thoughts are in our head, but we can manage everything and a whole lot more than what we do manage.
Got it. Is there a principle or a quote or a mantra that you live by that you want to share to inspire others?
Why not?
That's it. Why not is the mantra.
Why not?
If you were not in the education or the sustainability space, like what else would you have pursued as a career?
Neuroscience. Very intrigued by the brain and how our brains work, what we know and how much more we need to know. And especially I'm working now in a neurodivergent community. I don't know how those pieces came together because neuroscience is something I've been interested in for a while. And now I'm in the space and now I'm even more intrigued by, if I could redo or grow in my career, it would be in neuroscience.
Got it. This is probably the last question. What do you want to share with future students, educators, sustainability thought leaders? What is one piece of advice that you want to leave everyone watching this conversation?
Care about our planet, care about your neighbor, care about yourself and your aging process, care about those around you, and care. That's it.
Got it. Preet, we have come to the end of our conversation. Where can people find you? Is there a best location? What's the best place to find you? Is it LinkedIn or Instagram?
LinkedIn is a great place to find me. The people that I'm looking to connect with now in my world are on LinkedIn.
Okay, Preet, it's an absolute pleasure, and it was a true honor sitting down and learning your journey and an opportunity to share this with the time with you and to learn from you. It's been great. I'd love to stay in touch with you. I think it's fantastic getting to know you. Thanks for the time. It's an honor. I appreciate the answers. It was all tremendous. And I wish you all success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I lost my voice just in time. Hopefully you can edit that out, but thank you.
All good. Yeah. Let me stop this.
Okay.